everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Cheryl if you are new here, and today we are doing my, oh fuck, what month is it? February wrap-up. I almost said March wrap-up, but March just started, so yeah, I only read 2 books this month, which is like not as many as I'd like. However, life happens. Life gets in the way. I've been playing a lot of video games, watching a lot of TV, crafting a lot, so there have been things other than books that have like encompassed my interests recently. What I need to do is start listening to an audiobook while I do those things so I can still read and do these other things, because that would make sense, and I like audiobooks. But your girl just, I always forget to listen to an audiobook. So like I said, only read 2 books, and then I will talk about the one I am halfway through at the end. So without further ado, let's just get into this. So the first book I read in the month of February was The Diviners by Libba Bray. I buddy read this, and it was, unpopular opinion here, not fantastic. Like, I gave it, I think, a 3.5 stars. Overall, I really enjoyed the general story it was telling. Basically, this follows a group of characters in the 1920s. Our main character kind of gets shipped away to live with her uncle, who lives in New York City, and he runs a museum of oddities and like supernatural things. And our main character herself has like supernatural paranormal powers, and like paranormal shit starts happening in the town, and they kind of have to band together and figure out what's going on, and it's a murder mystery, and like there are a lot of aspects of this story I really enjoyed. I really liked the main character. I thought she was flawed in a very realistic way. I enjoyed her friendship with her best friend and some of the other characters that were introduced, and there were so many different perspectives, and it was a really diverse cast of characters, and I really loved that. But it just, the writing was a little odd. It took me a little bit to get into the writing, and then there were certain elements that I didn't hate, but I didn't enjoy. For example, like I said, I really loved the friendship between the main character and her best friend in the beginning of the book, and then like halfway through it, it just kind of stops. I also didn't like, God, I don't remember any of these characters' names, which kind of shows how much it didn't really connect with me. Is it Sam? The one who like tried to, there was a character who like tried to, or who pickpocketed her in the very beginning, and then kind of joins up with them later. I didn't particularly care for him too much, and I thought that he was very stereotypical, like, and I didn't particularly care for him. But I don't know what didn't grip me about the story the way it did for other people. Some people, in fact, a lot of people here on BookTube absolutely rave about this series. It's one of their favorites. It's the best thing ever. I didn't connect with it that way, unfortunately, but you know, it happens. Also, I was wrong. That was not the first book I read in the month of February. The first book I technically read in the month of February was Ahakamat, and that was my reread of this. I read like the first half with the the ebook. Yeah, I rented it from the library because I didn't feel like picking up my copy, and I read the first half of it in ebook and then finished the second half of it on audio while I was crafting, because like I don't know why I forgot to do that for any other book this month, but I did, and it was good. I mean, I really enjoy this book in particular. The series as a whole, but this book in particular has always been one of my favorites. One thing I will say is that it didn't grip me and connect with me as much as it did the first time I read it. I'm not 100% sure why. But the first time I read it, it was like emotional. Like, it was the closest thing I've ever gotten to a book hangover, and that I literally could not stop thinking about this book after I finished it the first time. I was like, holy shit. It did not have that effect on me this time. I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed my reread. It is problematic in a lot of aspects. Every man, I feel like, has to be super macho man and really controlling, and why is every single character paired off, basically? Especially later in the series. But either way, I do have criticisms about it, but overall I did enjoy it. But yeah, so this was technically the first book I read. I started it at the very end of January, and it rolled over into February, which is why it's included in this wrap-up. So the book that I'm like halfway through, haven't finished it yet, and hopefully will in March, because I don't like to read multiple books at once, so if I don't finish this in March, it means I haven't read anything in March. But that is The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. I am about halfway, maybe a little more than halfway in, and it's been a slow burn for me. I have not been able either just because I'm not in the mood, or I don't know if it's this book in particular, but I have not really been able to just sit down and churn out like 100 pages at a time. It is longer. It's almost 600 pages. It's not the longest book I've ever read, and I've read longer books in a shorter amount of time than this one, but I don't know what it is about this. And we follow Quoth, is that, I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce it. It like gives you a pronunciation in the book. It's Quoth, I think. Anyway, we follow him in his life story. He's telling his life story to the chronicler, who kind of writes stories and writes life stories, and how he kind of came to be. He's very... You done? My cat was sneezing. But anyway, so like I said, we follow Quoth as he kind of tells his life story to the chronicler. He is very infamous in this world. It says that he has, on the back itself, it says he has stolen princesses back from sleeping barrow kings. He burned the town down of Trebon. He spent the night with Felurian and left with both his sanity and his life. He was expelled from the university at a younger age than most people are allowed in. He tread paths by moonlight that others feared to speak of during the day. He's talked to gods, loved women, written songs that make minstrels weep. You have heard of me. You may have heard of me. So yeah, like I said, Quoth is like a very infamous person, and the chronicler wants to get his life story and his perspective. Because it is Quoth telling his own story, I have to assume there are aspects of this that are really like overdone. He's selling himself up like to be like fantastic. And I don't doubt that he's done some of the things, like he did go to university, but like I imagine he's embellished a lot of it, because if he hasn't, if this is supposed to be 100% how every single thing happened, then Quoth is more or less like a Gary Stu. Like, he has like emotional turmoils that he deals with, but he's very like, he's so very gifted with his mind and doing magic and things like that. And so I'm gonna assume, like I said, that he's kind of embellishing his own story. I don't know if that's addressed like in the later half, but as of now it hasn't been embellished. But like I said, this book has been kind of a slow burn for me. Now that we're at the university, it's gotten a lot more interesting. The first part of this book was not boring, but it was very much set up and build up, and how he got to where he got to when he, that didn't even make sense, how he got to the university, and what had to happen to get him there. And like I said, it's kind of a slow burn. I'm enjoying it so far. I can see why so many people love it so much, but I'm assuming I'm gonna love it like by the end. Hopefully I give it a 5 stars. It's one of the books that I'm pretty sure I put that in that video, my 5-star TBR predictions. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna love this one. It's just been kind of a slow burn so far. So those are all of the books that I have read in February. I know, a very, very small wrap up, especially compared to some of you, but you know, I'm not doing a Goodreads goal for this reason, because life happens, and I don't know how much I'm gonna read in March, because 1 week of March is gonna be, I'm gonna be gone in Chicago for a honeymoon, and so I don't know how much I'm gonna read during that time. And then yeah, so March is gonna be busy with that, as well as probably starting to prep to move soonish. We're probably moving sometime in April or May. I got a lot of stuff going on. Don't know how much I'm going to read in March. Hopefully more than 2.5 books, but we shall see. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Follow me on all of my social medias, which are always linked down below, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!